Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're really digging into the incredible journey of Nyla and Brody. Such a powerful case study in interdisciplinary collaboration.
Absolutely. It offers some really profound insights into navigating change, doesn't it?
It really does. And you might remember our last deep dive, we kind of left things on a bit of a cliffhanger.
Ah, yes, the report.
Exactly, that pivotal scientific report with those missing data points. It threatened the whole integrity of their project.
A genuine crisis point for them.
Yeah, and we left you wondering, how did they possibly navigate that?
Well, it's interesting. While the sources don't give us every single step, what's really clear is Nyla and Brody's immediate, quite strategic pivot.
Okay.
Recognizing that data integrity was, their Achilles heel at that moment,
Hmm.
they very proactively initiated a third-party audit.
Smart move.
Right, an audit of their collection methods. And simultaneously, Brody got to work preparing a preemptive legal brief.
Preemptive, so not just defending what they had.
Exactly. It wasn't just about defending the current findings. He outlined this really robust validation process going forward. It demonstrates a key insight, I think.
Which is?
In a crisis, you've got to move beyond just fixing the immediate fire. You need to prove your whole methodology's strength, really anticipate and disarm those future challenges.
That makes sense. Proving the system, not just the result.
Precisely. And their resilience, driven by that core shared passion we keep talking about, it really set the stage for everything that came next.
So what does this all mean for them now? As we looked at the case studies, we saw this consistent pattern in their journey.
Yeah, a definite progression.
Right. So for simplicity, we've organized it into these distinct. Today, we're stepping into what we're calling facing challenges.
Okay.
This is where their initial successes, all that visibility they gained, it actually led to new, pretty formidable obstacles.
The double-edged sword of success.
Totally. So our mission for this deep dive is to really unpack how they not only confronted these challenges head on, but how they leveraged them, how they actually used them to strengthen their unique partnership.
And that ultimately led to even more impactful breakthroughs, right?
Exactly. But before we jump fully into, let's just quickly revisit their foundation, what we previously termed 1, the interception of worlds.
Good idea, setting the stage.
Our sources show their journey really began not in a lab or a courtroom, which you might expect, but at a community seminar.
Right, on climate change.
Yeah. And it wasn't just a casual meeting, was it? Their initial conversations quickly revealed this profound shared conviction.
A real meeting of minds about creating a better future.
Absolutely. And that immediate alignment, it laid the groundwork for this collaboration that, uniquely blended environmental science and legal advocacy.
And that brings up such a crucial point.
Yeah.
Why was this fusion so vital right from the start?
Good question.
Well, by combining Nyla's data-driven scientific approach with Brody's deep understanding of intricate legal frameworks, they just recognized this powerful synergy.
Synergy they needed to tackle real-world problems.
Exactly. They weren't just theorizing in academic silos. They were building a practical blueprint for actionable change.
And that shared passion, it quickly translated into tangible action, a specific community project.
Mm-hmm.
The sources don't give exhaustive details, but we can sort of infer it was something like maybe pioneering innovative water conservation techniques.
Or perhaps developing local renewable energy microgrids tailored for the community.
Could be. Something hands-on, definitely. And that experience was absolutely crucial. It forced them to confront the practical, on-the-ground demands of actually implementing something.
And what's really striking here is how that joint endeavor fostered such deep mutual understanding.
Yeah, you really see that develop.
Nyla, the scientist, she started to grasp the complexities of navigating permits, property rights, public policy, all that stuff.
The often frustrating reality of turning science into law.
Right. And meanwhile, Brody, the legal advocate, he gained real insight into the scientific rigor needed for accurate data collection, for understanding long-term ecological impacts.
So empathy for each other's worlds.
Exactly. And that didn't just strengthen their project, it cemented their collaborative efforts. They could actually, speak each other's language.
Okay, so they have this foundation, this mutual understanding. Then what really amplified their initial work was this unexpected wave of public attention.
The viral moment.
Yes. And it wasn't some planned PR campaign. It just started with this short, kind of raw video clip.
Which just captured the essence of their partnership.
Perfectly. You can almost picture it, right? Not on screen, breaking down, say, the intricate dynamics of aquifer recharge rates in urban areas.
Making complex science accessible.
Exactly. Explaining how a proposed gray water recycling system could drastically cut municipal water demand. And then, right alongside her, there's Brody.
Outlining the legal path forward.
Yeah, outlining these ingenious legal strategies, maybe navigating obscure zoning ordinances or leveraging some forgotten environmental impact clauses, just paving the way.
In that video, Water Warriors, Science Meets Justice, it just took off.
Went viral, reached millions.
And zooming out, that unexpected viral moment, it served as this powerful beacon of hope. It vividly demonstrated the immense power of interdisciplinary collaboration.
Showing it could actually address pressing global issues.
Right, and it brought this unprecedented volume of inquiries, expressions of support. It just propelled their work onto a much larger stage, way sooner than either of them probably anticipated.
It showed that when you make complex problems accessible and you present solutions with both scientific integrity and clear legal pathways,
People listen, they engage.
which brings us directly to their next major chapter, what we're calling Phase 2, building bridges.
Okay, phase 2, building on that foundation and the viral attention.
Exactly. Nyla and Brody stepped into this new, more ambitious phase. They continue to dive even deeper, exploring that intricate intersection of environmental science and legal advocacy.
Pushing boundaries, proving their blended approach could tackle even grander challenges.
But, as you'd expect, even highly ambitious endeavors like theirs, well, they're not without struggles.
No, this phase definitely introduced its own unique set of obstacles. It tested their resolve again.
Oh, yeah. Their journey wasn't without its early headaches. The sources detail these instances where seemingly straightforward permit applications.
Suddenly weren't straightforward at all.
Not at all. They got entangled in layers of interagency review. It almost created this new bureaucratic ecosystem of its own.
Ugh, the kind of slow motion frustration.
Right. That could make even the most passionate advocate consider, I don't know, competitive napping as a career change.
Yeah. But a key takeaway from this stage really is the critical role of persistence.
Yeah.
Those bureaucratic hurdles, they often act as a real test of conviction. They challenge even the most determined people to find alternative paths, or sometimes just outlast the system.
And beyond those external obstacles, the internal dynamics were also pretty fascinating.
Friction within the team.
Yeah, sources indicate moments of real friction. For instance, times when Nyla's scientific team would push for data collection protocols that Brody's legal advisors felt were just too time-consuming.
Jeopardizing critical legislative deadlines, maybe?
Exactly. It was this constant negotiation, wasn't it, between scientific rigor and, well, political pragmatism.
And it's insightful to see that these internal frictions, they're actually a natural part of any ambitious interdisciplinary project like this.
You almost expect them.
Right. The true challenge isn't avoiding them, it's navigating them effectively, recognizing that these tensions can actually be productive.
How so?
They can force new, more robust solutions, make you defend your position, find common ground.
Okay, that makes sense. So they navigated bureaucracy, they navigated internal friction, and now, as they gained even more visibility, their solutions started getting traction with local leaders.
Which is great, but
But then they encountered a far more formidable kind of opposition. Direct pushback from industry stakeholders.
yes. This is where it gets really tough.
Yeah, this wasn't just passive disagreement or, internal team tension anymore. These were established forces with significant vested interests.
Directly threatened by the innovative solutions Nyla and Brody were championing.
Absolutely.
And the sources really highlight that this opposition often stemmed from a pretty fundamental clash of values.
It wasn't just about methods, it was about priorities.
Exactly. While Nyla and Brody prioritized environmental well-being, long-term sustainability, these industry players explicitly prioritize profit, often over environmental concerns.
Which created this profound ethical dilemma for Nyla and Brody.
Huge dilemmas. How much could they possibly compromise without betraying their core mission?
Right. And the sources mention specific tactics, don't they? Like industry groups launching these sophisticated PR campaigns.
Yeah, designed to discredit Nyla's scientific findings, subtly sowing doubt about the very data driving their proposals.
Or employing aggressive lobbying efforts to just delay or dilute proposed legislation.
It became a multi-front battle.
Absolutely. And this period really became a crucible for their partnership. The external pressure was just immense.
You imagine confronting a well-funded campaign designed just to undermine your scientific integrity.
Or seeing crucial legislation stalled by powerful corporate interests. It must have been incredibly demoralizing at times.
The sources show that Brody, for instance, he had to navigate these complex legal challenges from industry associations. They questioned the project's land use permits.
Forcing Nyla's team to spend valuable time and resources defending against what probably felt like a war of attrition.
Definitely. And this raised a series of very, very difficult ethical questions for them.
Like what?
Well, could they accept certain compromises? Maybe things that might slightly reduce the environmental benefits, but could get industry buy-in.
But would that set a dangerous precedent?
Exactly. That's the tightrope. The sources illustrate Nyla often grappling with that tension between scientific purity and, pragmatic legal strategy.
There's an example, isn't there, about an environmental impact assessment?
Yeah, there's a reference to a proposed streamlining of an assessment. Brody's team identified it as a potential legal loophole, a way to speed things up.
But Nyla felt it risked omitting crucial ecological data.
Right. So it wasn't about simple right or wrong. It was about navigating these really difficult shades of gray under extreme pressure, constantly testing their commitment to their shared values.
Crucially, though, it's precisely through these trials, the red tape, the internal frictions, and now this powerful, ethically complex opposition from industry, that their partnership seems to have truly solidified.
It did. This new level of external pressure, it definitely put an unprecedented strain on their partnership, testing their commitment to the cause and to each other.
It must have taken a personal toll.
Predominantly, yes, it strengthened them. But you're right, the sources do hint at the immense personal toll, especially confronting these powerful forces. It wasn't just a seamless strengthening.
You mean there were probably moments of intense doubt, fatigue?
Almost certainly, which frankly makes their continued commitment even more remarkable. But the struggle, it forced them to communicate with even greater clarity.
Had to be on the same page.
Completely. To empathize more deeply with each other's perspectives, find those creative compromises that respected the integrity of both fields, even when their core principles were being challenged.
That resilience, that steadfast commitment to their shared vision.
That's what allowed them to overcome such immense pressure.
And the result of this deepened partnership, this hard-won resilience, genuinely innovative solutions.
Yeah, these weren't just small tweaks or incremental improvements. The sources describe them as breakthroughs.
New ways of thinking, new ways of operating.
That emerged directly from successfully fusing that scientific insight and legal strategy, all honed under the crucible of these challenges.
Can we get more specific? What kind of breakthroughs?
Well, digging deeper into the sources, we find some concrete examples. For instance, facing that industry resistance to their water recycling models.
Right.
Nyla's team didn't just, reiterate the ecological benefits. They developed this sophisticated cost-benefit analysis tool.
Okay.
It not only projected the environmental gains, but also demonstrated significant long-term economic returns for businesses willing to adapt.
Hitting them where it counts? Turning a burden into an advantage?
Essentially, yes. Turning a potential regulatory burden into a competitive advantage for early adopters. And then Brody crafted these unique legal frameworks.
To support that. It's exactly. Public-private partnerships that actually incentivize this early adoption, using a blend of specific tax breaks and maybe green bond investments.
Wow. So they didn't just innovate scientifically. They innovated the application of science through legal strategy. That's fascinating.
It really is a true synthesis.
And as a testament to their growing effectiveness, these solutions, they quickly garnered attention from local leaders.
Right. And this wasn't just casual interest. It was the kind of recognition that can lead to wider adoption, real policy changes, greater resources.
Demonstrating the tangible real-world impact of their integrated approach. So wrapping this up, what does this all mean for you, our listener? The case study of especially in this facing challenges phase, it really reminds us that even with visibility and success, new challenges pop up.
They inevitably emerge.
Right. But it's precisely in navigating those bureaucratic labyrinths, the internal disagreements, and especially that powerful external opposition, particularly when faced with fundamental clashes of values and tough ethical dilemmas. That's where partnerships are truly forged and strengthened.
And that's what leads to those innovative solutions that actually gain real traction.
Brody really exemplified that idea that knowledge is most valuable when it's understood and applied, especially under duress. Their journey shows facing opposition even when it comes from within, or the system, or powerful vested interests. It can actually deepen that shared purpose.
And strengthen the very bonds driving progress.
Absolutely. It forces this unique kind of critical thinking, doesn't it? They had to synthesize diverse, often conflicting information, spot patterns under intense pressure. So what stands out to you about how they managed to transform obstacles, including those really profound ethical dilemmas, into stepping stones for innovation?
It's a great question to ponder. As Nyla and Brody continue to build these bridges between science and law, their commitment to the cause and to each other is just constantly being tested. How will this unique ability they have, blending scientific rigor with legal pragmatism, home through all these trials and now facing this intense opposition, how will it continue to prove its strength against even larger forces?
That's the big question moving forward.
Join us next time on The Deep Dive as we continue to unravel this compelling narrative.